Good afternoon, everyone. So I can see that this is a post-lunch session, and that is quite evident from the audience right now. But I can assure that we will try to make it quite interesting over the next 40 minutes. And when I was given this topic and there were a few options, I thought this was the apt one to talk about in today's time. When we talk of D2C, as we have seen over the last 18 to 24 months during the COVID era especially, D2C brands have been the one who have seen phenomenal growth. And that is what the topic we have for today, that what's the future for D2C brands? What do they need from the retail ecosystem to sort of grow to the next level? So with that, keeping in mind the time we have at disposal, we will directly jump into the topic. I have an esteemed panel with me today from very different product categories. So I think it will be quite interesting to take point of views from everyone, and we'll get to learn a lot during the next 35 to 40 minutes. So with that, let me directly jump into the topic. So the first thing I thought which is most relevant to the topic is to understand what's been the journey for each of my panelists over the last 18 to 24 months, and how do they see the future of D2C brands. When we talk of future, I think it's next 2 to 3 years. We have an aspirational target as India that we will reach 100 billion for D2C brands by 2025. So how does the panel feel about the aspirational target? Do they see any challenges and things like that? So with that, let me first start with Sarfaraz.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Yeah. So the understanding of D2C pre-COVID, post-COVID has taken a substantial leap. And while I say that, the reason is because of the COVID scenario, where your brick and mortar stores were completely shut. You had to do business to sustain. At the same time, what was the options available back then? The only option that was available were D2C business. How do we evolve? How do we sustain? And how do we take it forward from there? So definitely, it's a journey that most of the brands have taken. They have already, taken over, or they are in a phase of implementation. So it's an interesting journey that we have also embarked on, and we are planning a substantial growth in that particular aspect, as well as investing time, energy, and money as well. So there's no question over there. But yeah, the focus has increased. While I say that, there's the focus in brick and mortar has not gone down. So it's a hand in hand situation. Being a brand and want to explore, want to grow, be on the top of the game. So yes, D2C business is gonna increase. There's no stopping with the help of digital marketing, digital, so many platforms that's come in, which is helping you take the next leap. So definitely that's the take that I have on that particular point.
Specifically, Sarfaraz, when you look at the way we have seen last 18 to 24 months during the COVID time, when people in some way did not have a choice to sort of step out, and that changed the behavioral pattern for the consumer to go more online rather than going offline. Particularly, that is very much relevant for your product category. So how do you see that behavior when, let's say, we are in some way we can say that we are in a post-COVID world right now since the last 8 to 10 months. Have you seen any significant change in the consumer behavior online versus offline?
Not to a very great extent, I would say. Yes, post-COVID, stores have opened up, so customers are more happy coming to the stores, exploring. So that is a journey which customer was waiting for. because that's an experience, as an Indian consumer, when we talk about, more and more consumers actually go to the mall for an experience rather than shopping. So that experience, it was lacking for 2 years, during the COVID situation. But my D2C business has not gone down because of that. What we are embarking right now is the more and more focus is being given to D2C, because there are customers coming to the stores, but there are many customers who are still using that particular platform. Your social media is just growing. You've got influencers, doing so much of stuff on social media. There is so much of collaboration going on. So this particular D2C business is just going to evolve. And with so much of tech being into the picture, it's just a decision of which tech is right for you at the right time, pick it up, implement it, and take it forward from there.
So basically what we are saying is that while you see offline opening up, but the consumer behavior is not really changing.
No.
The people who have been buying online, that habit has not gone away even in the post-COVID situation.
No, definitely.
And so if in a way, it is fair to say that offline and online will stay together in a cohesive manner, and
absolutely.
And that is how you will grow.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So with that, I think, very connected, I would say, in the apparel space. Zahid, let me come to you. That, we heard Sarfaraz. So when you look at your brand, one is that how similar you see in terms of the growth, what you have seen over the last 18, 24 months. How do you look at the near future in terms of the overall growth for your brand, in terms of offline versus online? How do you see that?
Thank you for the question. Is it working?
I don't think so.
Working? Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've been into situations for last 10 years where I'm directly associated with brands who are only focusing on D2C. With my current organization for revenue, so we are 100% into D2C. We sell directly to our consumers. And that's how we actually build brand, because in a D2C, you can control a lot of things. You can actually control your brand, you can control your experience that you wanted to provide. You can provide value to your customer, which is very important into a D2C segment. So that's how we have been doing. And is there any question about the future of D2C? So I believe that is the future. There has to be no doubt about it. As we probably know that the Indian consumer industry is growing, and it is expected to grow in the next 2 years. There is a news that the consumer industry will go by $100 billion by 2025, which is 7 trillion in Indian currency, so which is a phenomenal figure. So there is this room for existing players, to sell directly. There is enough space for new brands as well. And in fact, if you have seen in the last 2-3 years, there are brands who have started with D2C, and then now they are turning back to a traditional retail. We have various examples of, talking about Boat Lifestyle, Sugar Cosmetics, Mamaearth. They all started with D2C. They started with online channels. Then they are looking for now having an offline setup as well. So I think the future is there. We had tremendous growth over the last 2 years. We are still growing despite lockdowns, COVID situations, because we were able to provide experience to the customers even if our stores were not open. So our consumers knows what brand it is, because that's how we have positioned the brand. So if you're buying online, buying or offline, you know what you are buying. So that's the value proposition we have created in the market, and that is the scope for all D2C reasons. So if you wanted to build brand, you should sell through all channels which are currently there. You cannot be a single channel. You have to be multi-channels. We are all talking about omni-channels now. So there are tremendous growth there.
Sure. So Zahid, what I hear is that when you look at the growth, what you have seen over the last 18 months and what you see in store for the next, let's say, 2 to 3 years, you don't see the change in pattern, as in you believe that the way the consumer behavior you have seen over the last 18 months, that you have seen sustaining for your business, and you don't see any significant change, although there are, we are coming out of COVID, so there are certain changes which we see offline opening up, but then you also see, like Sarfaraz mentioned, that a similar kind of growth pattern where you see both online as well as offline growing.
See, I'll tell you, post-pandemic, the situation has changed. You'll have to take a blended approach now. You cannot just focus on single channel. You'll have to have a blended approach. You'll have to have a presence in multi-channels, online, offline, both. You never know when consumer turns to your offline channel, when turns to online channel. So you need to have a focus on both the channels. Not just online, there are new channels coming up. There is social commerce coming up. There is conversational commerce coming up. There is live commerce, which is there. So it's all about connecting with your consumer, and what consumer is looking for is the convenience and value for money. So you'll have to look these two parameters more importantly when you sell something. For some customers, their convenience is that they go to the store, touch and feel the product, and then they buy it. For some, they wanted to have the products delivered at their doorstep. They don't have the time to go to the store. So you'll have to take a very blended approach. That's what I feel.
Sure. No, this is very insightful, Zahid. Now, I think let me just move to a totally different product category. Let me come to Guru. So Guru, I think your product category, when we heard Sarfaraz and when we heard Zahid, I think it's a totally different product category. We are talking of fashion jewelry, and how we heard both of them. So how do you see from your perspective, from your brand, what has been the experience for the last 18-24 months? Do you see this any different as compared to what we heard from Zahid and Sarfaraz?
Thanks for the question. I just want to make a small clarification. We're not a fashion jewelry brand. We are a precious jewelry brand, actually. There's a big difference. So Caratlane is our organization, and I think I can definitely safely say we started way back in 2008 when nobody talked about an online presence for such a brand. So we started selling jewelry in 2008. Digital was a medium that we know, and we realized that that's going to be a leveler because internet is available across India. Pan-India, if you want to create a brand, then it has to be through an internet medium. So that's when we started. 2012, we opened up our first retail showroom, thinking that people still want to have a touch and feel of the product that we sell, so want to create like an experience center. And so it was totally disconnected experience for the consumer. 2016 onwards is when we realized consumer needs a connected experience. And now we call it what we call it as an omni-channel. The genesis of that for us at least started way back in 2016. So for the last 6 years, it has been a tremendous journey. We didn't have to react to the pandemic from a digitization perspective, or even creating the mindset for the employees to think digital or data for that matter, because that's how we have been operating. So the tremendous shift for the organization did not happen in that sense. Before pandemic, we at least had about 80 showrooms. Today, we have about 150 showrooms, and we still continue the same path and journey. And it's been a fabulous ride for us in the last 2 years post this. I mean, last 8 months since it posted, right? We started having a tremendous growth in the revenue, in the customer retention, as well as the experience also started building up also. I feel path forward for the entire D2C ecosystem to work, there is a lot of foundation that is needed. And India today has so many products. You can see the booths outside, and those are all important solutions that is needed for anybody to come on board. And this origin of this started with the entrepreneurship spirit that Flipkart and Amazon created by introducing marketplace, so that anybody can now become an entrepreneur to sell their brands to the end consumer. So I would say the origin of D2C started with those entrepreneurs, and hence you today see so many shops that is getting open or the brands getting open, and they may either open up as a retail showroom in a small pocket in a tier 1 or a tier 2. then switch over to that, or the other way also happens. But the genesis is there, and so the foundations are getting laid now. For the entire D2C to work, you have to start from manufacturing till the payments, right? So you can already see the payments industry is evolved, pretty much evolved. There is a solution, good solution for logistics, supply chain. There is a great solution for building the platform, the digital platform for the brands to come in. So entire vertical in the whole value chain is getting built up now. And I think 100 billion is quite possible with everybody with that spirit comes on board to take up this challenge also.
Sure. So Guru, let me also ask you this, that while we have quite a few players in various segments, when it comes to your segment, we don't see so many competitors. And also connected is that now yours is a Tata, in some way a Tata Group company. So according to you, what was the USP which made, which made the Tata Group look at look at investment, brand and investment. Yeah. So what's the USP in your view?
See, this happened in 2016. The USP was the digital outlook that we had. Titan as a group Tanishq was the largest offline jewelry company in India. Even today, they are the largest in India, and very soon in the world also. They'll be the largest single jewelry brand in the world. And so if you think about it, the only missing piece for Tanishq was the digitization, and Caratlane had that. Because right from that beginning, that's how we started doing. We don't do traditional marketing today. You don't see hoardings of Caratlane mostly anywhere, because we started adopting digital for a long back. And today, for an omni-channel jewelry, we are still #1 in India, all due to digital means. Our investments has been entirely on digital platforms. The business intelligence that we do, or the way we target customers, the place where we open up retail showrooms, all of that is based on the intelligence that we gather from the data. So that is where Tanishq invested on it. And definitely there are big takeaways for us also from a traditional retailer, because to open up retail showroom, you need to have the right mindset of a marketing the brand as well as having an experience in the retail. So Tanishq gave us that power and flexibility to do that also.
Sure. And Guru, also, I think the segment you are in and the kind of audience you cater to or you target and the product we are talking about, right? As in, when you think of it personally, how do you believe that the audience or the consumer is happy to buy or make a buying decision online, particularly for the category you are in, versus traditionally we always heard and possibly done, most of us, that unless you touch and feel a product, a jewelry item, you don't feel convinced what it is, how will it look like, and stuff like that. So what in your view really worked for Caratlane, which drove the customers to the online behavior, and which is a bit distinguished compared to a lot of other brands and other categories where you can still make a buying decision much easily online?
True. I mean, I have to go back in time for that. Jewelry is a very traditional industry, and family jewelers used to come to the home of people and then sell the jewelry. And today we have adopted a modern version of it called Try at Home. The channels that most of the brands here talk about are either offline or online, but we have a third channel called Try at Home, where we do a home selling. The jewelry consultant goes to the home of the people and make a sale happen there. So that's how we have evolved. The policies that we create, we give a 15-day money back. So the problem of the product going wrong is very minimal for them. And also there's a transparency in the policy. There's also the brand Tata that brings in the trust factor to us. While Caratlane has evolved with its own journey, but the Tata addition was a big trust for that. And you see around, we are present in about 55 cities across India. So they have the confidence today that they can walk into a showroom and make any question that is needed, or return the product and exchange for something else also. That's very important. So being only online is not going to solve that problem for a touch and feel product, especially for a category where the price point is very high for us. And also people ride on a lot of emotions on this space. 50% of our orders come from a gifting journey. And for that to be happening correctly, then all of these other ecosystem players should be tightly in place in order to get that going.
Quite interesting. So let me now jump on to again a totally different category, Vipin. As in, we've spoken about apparel segment, jewelry, and now yours is again a very differentiated product. So all of it, what we heard, you know, I have never, so far, let me admit that I have never bought a mattress online, right? So I'm being very candid. But then, how do you see like a product like a mattress? What do you think really drives the consumer to an online behavior? And particularly when you see last 18, 24 months, again, when people were not stepping out and they possibly would have made a lot of buying decision online. Now Duroflex also has a lot of offline stores, right? But when you look at the last 18, 24 months and when you see the future, how do you grow? How do you aspire to grow for the next 2 years? What do you think will work more for you as in terms of online versus offline, and how do you see the really growth coming in? Not, I think they need. Yeah, I think.
So as you rightly mentioned, a mattress is a very touch and feel category, right? People need to actually see that the comfort is there, whether it is feeling right on the body or not. So those all considerations are very important. But turning it around back, like Duroflex actually started 2 brands in the last 5 years, both D2C. One is Sleepyhead, which is there for the last 5 years. We are targeting a growth revenue of 200 CR this year. And there is another one which is like Duroflex online sales, which is through websites and marketplace, which is around 90 CR. So the major thing that I see is that there is a change in terms of consumer behavior. What this COVID period has done is a lot of consumers have tasted kind of the convenience, availability, and a comfort that is there in terms of buying, right? And what it has done for brands like us is that it has given us an opportunity wherein a lot of companies were spending a lot of money earlier. The D2C revolution was there earlier also. Company was spending a lot of time. What COVID has done, it has accelerated. Consumer by default has started coming to the website, starting buying online and all that. Because of that, the kind of investments that were needed earlier, now in the last 2-3 years, a lot of new D2C brand has come. We have also grabbed on the same opportunity and we have established these 2 brands. And now we are also looking towards a very heavy, Duroflex is a 53-year-old company, but most of our growth has come in last 5-6 years only, which is like from 200 CR to 1000 CR last year we clocked. And we are planning to grow at a CAGR of 30% also year on year. That is on the growth objectives that we have. Now, what we are also planning is that we'll ride on this wave, and we need to balance the offline and online both, and through like a proper omni-channel strategy, and we need to exactly uniformize and standardize the kind of experience that the consumer is getting, whether he goes to our company-owned store, whether he goes to our EBOs, whether the consumer is buying online. So at any place the consumer comes to us, he should be able to have the same kind of experience, same kind of offers that we are running, same kind of post-purchase service that he should get. So that is the plan that we have in terms of the business strategy, and we are very heavy D2C focused right now. So in this entire journey, what we are doing is to remove the barriers. There is one strategy which we like will play omni-channel strategy, but technology has a lot of other roles also to play. Like in our Coco stores, we are planning to bring the virtual reality devices so that the consumer can actually see the entire value propositions of the mattress. We cannot keep all the mattresses in one store. We have a lot of variants, and mattress being a heavy product, you can keep few samples, right? But in the retail or the Coco stores, if we give a VR device, then in that device they can actually see what are the different layers, what are the different components, what is the value proposition of each mattress. And on our website also we are planning augmented reality, which I think a lot of companies have already done. But in Duroflex is not only selling mattresses, but it is also heavily trying to get into furniture, which is like all the couches, as well as bed linens, accessories and all that. So what it will do is the consumer can see at the comfort of his home that how the interior decor and how does the mattress fit with the interior decor and how does it look, right? So those all things, I think given the perspective that last 2-3 years back we were all talking in the boardrooms about VUCA world, that there is a lot of uncertainty, this, that and all. And now coming forward 3 years down the line, all our business strategies, all our business plans have taken a full U-turn. We were very heavily offline focused. Now we are very heavily online focused, and it has reaped results. Now the VUCA has gone bazooka. So what everybody thinks is that we should prepare for uncertainty. We should have a very agile and intelligent supply chain, and very like amendable kind of the business strategy. We should take care of all the opportunities available in the market.
No, I think quite consistent story what we have so far heard in terms of the theme online versus offline and what's really working. Now I think with that, let me just move to Bharti. I know, sorry, you have been patiently listening to all of us. I think now it's your turn to. So you have worked with so many brands, Shopify, what we know for, and then we heard the panel in terms of what has been their experience in the last, let's say 18, 24 months. How do they see the growth coming in? I think omni-channel is the way to go. And which is quite consistent with the themes we have seen and we have heard from lot of panels and lot of media reports and stuff like that. So how do you see, as in, do you have a different point of view in terms of the future growth or future for brands, and do you have any different perspective than what we heard? And how do you see, because you work with so many brands, so would really love to hear from you.
Thank you. I'd love to share like a platform perspective, because like you said, we've seen thousands of brands blossom over the last 3 years. I think the first thing to remember is that I think the conversation of online versus offline has become online and offline, which is already a big win for the industry. And it just took us one big incident to get there, but it's great, we're on the other side, right? The second thing I think many brands have realized is that oftentimes when we talk about online and our website or app, we tend to talk of it only as, does it generate sales? Is it 2% of sales? Is that enough? Is it meaningful? But actually your website does 3 things for you. It helps people discover your brand. Yesterday's hoarding is today's website, right? It helps you get real customer feedback. No other channel gives you first party customer data like your website does, right? And the third is it also drives sales. Now, the first 2 are very important. And I think what we saw in the pandemic is that brands realized that all their marketing, all their discovery is moving online, and they want their website to truly represent what the brand stands for and the experience, right? Now, once you get that right, then the omni-channel is just a natural consequence of that, because as more and more people come and discover you there, they may choose to buy right away depending on the category, or they may choose to walk into the store. They may choose to order and come in and pick it up from the store. It doesn't matter. Wherever your supply is, it should be made available for wherever your demand is, right? And the third thing, in terms of assuming you've solved for these 2 things, you're not having the debate on online versus offline, you're making your website do these 3 things for you. I think looking into the future, the thing to remember, and I think we mentioned it earlier in the panel as well, is we feel our view is where customers spend time is where they will spend their money, right? So it is not just about your website and your app and your store and your franchise store and other channels you're already in. It's also about, hey, if the customer's spending time on YouTube, on my channel, can he click a button and shop? If he's on WhatsApp, can I interact with them and help them shop while they're having a conversation with me? So you need to, as a brand, seed yourself where your customer's spending time. That's very important going into the future when you start thinking about new channels, right? I would say the brands that start thinking about that today are truly preparing for the future.
Sure. No, absolutely. I think, Bharti, the way you said that it's not online versus offline, it's more about online and offline. You have to think of it in that manner, and that is what we have been seeing. And I think even in terms of the growth trajectory, as you said, that a customer discovers a brand when you see it online, and it's much easier to discover a brand online rather than moving on to the shops and trying to search for it. So once you have discovered the brand, then when you try to experiment on that, or when you're trying to make a buying decision, that is where for growth, you may also have to have offline stores so that a consumer can make look and feel of the product as well, right? And to expand the reach of the consumer, because even in India, we still are less than 10%. E-commerce is less than 10% of the online or other of the retail segment. So then, keeping in mind, I think offline also has to work for the brands to sort of grow to the next level, right? And what we also see is that I think interesting thing we heard from Vipin is that while you have a physical store, You have a virtual reality platform over there where a consumer comes in. You can't have like, 50 mattresses out there, but then you have a virtual reality platform through which a consumer experiences how it will look like, right? So I think it's a combination of how technology is enabling and driving the buying decision for the consumer, and sort of it's a best example of how you combine online versus offline for the consumer.
Sure. Just to correct, we are working on that.
Achha,
And that
okay.
is the boundaries that we want to break, because between product and customer, as Bharti is rightly mentioning, we cannot differentiate between customer and going forward. Consumer it was the king. I think consumer has become emperor now, right? And we cannot differentiate between the consumer, like which channel the consumer is. We have to be prepared across all channels, whether it is whatever consumer is using, we need to, whether it is YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, or consumer is present online, wants to go offline, wants to buy from the trade, we need to be ready. And when I talk omni-channel at Duroflex, what we believe in is that we want to build an omni-channel system wherein we include our distributors' inventory also, so that we are trying to build a platform where any order that comes, we should be, because we have a lot of inventory lying at different distributor points. We have a lot of inventories in our own stores and the exclusive brand outlets that are there on our own depots also. So what we plan is that anywhere the order comes, we should be servicing the consumer from the nearest inventory, so that the serviceability is good, the customer confidence is good, and we are able to actually reduce the inventory layer, and we are able to optimize our cost. So that's the philosophy we are working with.
Quite interesting. I think we have limitation on time. I think this is a topic where possibly we can talk hours together, but I know, we have limitation on time. So I think let me open up for audience. We heard the panelists. I think it's quite interesting, different perspectives, but all having a common theme that yes, we believe that the D2C story is here to stay. I think all of them sound quite confident for India to reach the 100 billion target, which we have for the D2C, aspirational target for the D2C segment by 2025. But with that, let me just open up for audience, maybe a couple of minutes we have for any questions. Sure, please.
Hello, my question is for Mr. Vipin. Sir, you said that at Duroflex you're trying to get into the furniture line and launch new products. So when any company launches a new product, there's a law of market failure. So whether there is a Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos, when they launch a number of products, 90% of them fail. So at Duroflex, how do you avoid this when you create a new product? Like, what is your strategy to avoid this market failure?
That's the same thing. Actually, we are already into the homes of the consumer. So I will give the inspiration behind this. So what I have seen my founders and all talking, I actually have an experience in Asian Paints also. And I was in Asian Paints at that time. They were trying to diversify. They bought Sleek Kitchen. They bought Nilaya wallpaper. They like created a very differentiated brand of Easy Color. So the philosophy is we already have a leverage that we have a presence in the trade. We have sold to so many consumers, right? Now they already know the brand. There is some inroads we have already made. How do we kind of upsell there? Because the consumer is already there. So when we are trying to get into furniture, 2-3 things. One is that we already have our COCO stores, EBOs, and lot of distributors. We can leverage that. Those are all entrepreneurs sitting, right? It is not one entrepreneur making his mind, but lot of entrepreneurs actually selling the product for us, right? Second important thing is how to use technology to better sell, to give right experience. Like if you use AR, VR, right? You can actually, the customer sitting in his home actually can see exactly how this product is going to look, whether it will fit the size or not. If I'm buying a recliner, would it actually fit in my room? The color will look good or not? So if you are able to enable the consumer take the decision rightly with a lot of technology as well as right people interventions by chatbots, right? So with right technology and business as well as the leverage we have already in the space, we think that we'll be able to succeed. So that's the philosophy.
I saw one hand raised over there. I don't know if we have time to take one more question.
You want to keep it quick?
Hi, I'm Kavin from Mabel. First of all, I would like to thank Bharti and the team of Shopify. Today, our brand has survived because of Shopify, so thank you very much. And my question is, being a huge Shopify fan, what is next in store for Shopify? Because the front end, you guys have killed it. So what in next for POS? Because we're waiting for when POS will come in. Yeah.
Thank you so much. There's no better praise than that. Thank you very much. I think we have so long to go, man. Like, we've barely started. All we do today is help you power your online store. But globally, we power payments. We help you sell more easily cross-border. We help do POS. We do have POS in India. A lot of merchants do use it, so I'm happy to help you start using it offline. Yeah, there's lots more to come. We just introduced rupees 399 a month plan. I think it's insane. Because we truly believe, just going back to what I said earlier, that where customers spend time are where they're going to spend money. And we believe the merchants of the future are not necessarily merchants who own merchandise, right? They're people who have a following and have the ability to sell to them and make some income. So we want to empower the creators of tomorrow, the drop shippers of tomorrow to sell more. And we want to help brands do more with influencers that they think are a good alignment with their brand, right? So we do see that as the future in a big way, and we're taking small baby steps to help the world do that.
Thank you. So I think do we have any more time for any? Okay, I think we are okay. So I think I would like to thank the panelists. I think it was quite interesting. We did not realize that we really ran out of time. I could see that, we have 5 minutes, 10 minutes more. So I think thanks to all the panelists, I think quite insightful. And like I said, I think this is a topic where we can talk hours together in terms of the growth journey, but it has been very informative. And I think I'm hoping that the audience also liked the session. And thanks for attending this. Thank you all.